r/AskReddit. Serious dark web users of Reddit, was there ever a point in your use that you felt you were genuinely in danger? What happened? Not the modern dark web, but back in the days of Usenet I posted some harsh CLH criticism in alt.religion.sebtology. Yes, that was a typo for Scientology, but I'm leaving it for context of a bunch of posts. The online threats were funny, but when I started getting death threats by mail I backed the fuck off. Edit. I didn't think this would blow up like it did, but to answer a few common questions. I posted a bunch of criticism of the COS in the Usenet group alt.religion.scientology. This was in the late 90s, and well before most modern forums and content aggregators like Reddit existed. FARC was the big one and IG was just starting to get popular. I was high school, for non-Americans, grades 9 to 12. I was in high school, and was using my home computer as an FTP server for a Whereas group on Ike, because I convinced my dad to sign up for a 90-day free trial of this new thing called broadband. I had 3 megabits per second down, and 1.5 megabits per second up. Of course we never cancelled it. They figured out who I was by using a cute FTP vulnerability to get root directory access to my PC. The death threats were bad enough, but what really sticks with me is the malice of deleting my family photos including the last picture as us with my dad while he was alive. I was the typical invincible feeling young adult, and I was more concerned about worrying my mom than I was about my own safety. This was long before doxing was a thing, and online threats going from email to handwritten letters was terrifying, but as a high school kid I never would have admitted it. Nobody asked, but if I was confronted in person I would have fought back 18 years later. If they really held a grudge and threatened me again with the same malice expressed in those letters I got, I would open the door with a gun in hand, and if they tried to get in, I would assume that they were intending to kill me and shoot first. This is a serious post, so as funny as it would be to accept the previous statement with the autocomplete error shit first, I fixed it. Yes. Scientology is a dangerous type of cult, and unless you are prepared to go full Inquisition and burn them all at the stake, it is better to stay far away. They have killed, and will kill, to protect the organization. I've written a couple of books about the dark web, which means I've spent a bit of pretty much every day of the past 8 years poking around inside. Over the years I spoke to, interviewed, and even visited many dark web identities, drug dealers and operators of darknet markets mostly. I attended the trial of one of the most evil people on the planet, Lux, the owner of Hurt to the Core, a child torture site. Turned out to be a friendless unhappy kid who built his evil empire from his childhood bedroom, with his parents blissfully unaware of what was happening under their noses. The only time I felt even slightly in danger despite all this nosing around in there was when I helped uncover a Hidman scam. The owner of Bisa Mafia, the most profitable murder for hire site in history, came after me when I started writing about him. He made loads of threats. You don't know who I am, but I know who you are and where you live. But that wasn't scary, as I had access to the back door of his site thanks to a friendly hacker, and knew he didn't really want to hurt anybody. It took a bit of a darker turn when he told the people who had signed up to work as hitmen on his site, and who he made video themselves burning cars with signs on them to advertise how legit his site was, then never sent them the promised money for doing so, that I was the owner of the site who had ripped them off. That could have become ugly, but luckily even the thugs weren't dumb enough to believe him. The only other time I've been a bit nervous was when Homeland Security wanted to have a friendly meeting with me on one of my trips to the US to attend a trial. They were friendly, but scary too. The books about all the above and other dark web stuff are here. Edit. I'm trying to respond to everyone, but I can't keep up. If I haven't answered your question, please don't take it personally. I probably missed it. Edit again, and I'm definitely not going into any private chats. Sorry to all of you who are trying. Seriously. Stop. Redoing an AMA. Thanks so much for suggesting an AMA, but this exact same thing happened a couple of years ago. I responded to an AskReddit thread. It blew up. Everyone said you should do an AMA, and then nobody came. You can find them by going through my history anyway. I've never personally felt I was in actual danger, so to speak, since I take proper precautions, but early on I did accidentally come across a site/forum while exploring that was filled with snuff photos of women people had assaulted and then knocked out or killed. Shut down my browser pretty quick after that, but felt uneasy for a long time after. I've gotten 2 of those accidentally. I was on a file sharing program, Emule, and they were labeled as something else. One was a young Russian, I think, soldier being killed, and one was a woman. In both cases, it was sickening. I wanted to contact the police for the woman, but I didn't. What good would it do? Plus I thought there was a small chance it was faked. The Russian guy though, it was not faked. In real life, I had an acquaintance who liked sick websites. Pictures of people in car crash, pictures of people in a morgue, anything where there was dead people. I stopped talking to him because the stuff he sent me just kept getting sicker. 4F. All I sent him was jokes and images/movies of girls. It makes me sad that there are people who are into this. Seriously, I was disgusted and horrified, and then felt sad for days. Also, if other people weren't into it, then maybe there would be no market for this stuff. About the Russian guy, was he beheaded by a knife by chance? I only ask because my old copy of Windows 95, back in 1995, had that preloaded into Windows Media Player when I was a mere child, like 8 years old, and I've never found out why. Traumatic tbh. Edit. While I'm not alone, this is oddly comforting. It was very unnerving carrying this image around with me for 24 years and no answers. Edit 2. Late edit. But just remembered it was definitely a gateway computer we got from a local gateway store. No other info, but there's a 0% chance anybody from my family had that video themselves. Don't frequent it a lot, but once I accidentally left my browser in full screen and a stranger in a chat room asked me if my curved monitor was nice. Freaked me out a bit. Not dark web, but I wanted to install Windows 7 on my old PC, so I installed the ISO file from some website and everything was working good for like 1 hour, but then porn started appearing on my screen, and I was like WTFFF. Chat box opened, and camera turned on. He told me I have nice eyes, and after that I just turned off the PC and did a clean install of Windows 10. Webcam turned itself on once. That was scary. I immediately unplugged it, and my network cable ran 3 complete scans of my system for malware and viruses. Found nothing. Hasn't happened since. This happened to one of my friends. He said the camera turned on, and he was redirected to another website, where he saw his own face and some kind of official seal with an eagle on the side. He didn't read what any of that said, because he shut down his PC as fast as he could. He was really quiet and anxious for the next days I saw him at school. The first day he looked very scared, and even looked pale. This was what prompted me to ask what happened. Sounds like it could been one of those fake FBI scams. I had a similar one when I was a teenager on my first laptop. It loaded up the webcam and had a bunch of shit talking about how the US government was going to arrest me for piracy unless I sent them $200 on prepaid cards. It had the seal with the eagle and everything. Had a buddy who used to order weed. The distributor got busted, and the postal service let him know there was a suspicious package for him. He could either pick it up, or it would be destroyed. Did he go to receive the package? Not unless he's a total idiot. Getting an illegal package addressed to you leaves you with plausible deniability if you've purchased it anonymously and covered your tracks. You can say, no thanks, I don't want anything to do with that, because I have no idea what it is, and that'll be that. You just have to suck up the sunk costs. Trying to pick it up after you've been told it was suspicious and being held will earn you a nice talk with the authorities. Hey, we have your suspicious package here, and we are gonna destroy it if you don't come get it. To be honest, if I didn't know what was in it, I'd probably try and find out due to curiosity. Didn't order any meth, but if someone's shipping me any, I'd like to know. I was a casual orderer of the dark web for a while and got pretty big into it and started buying slightly bulky packages of drugs. If you knew the markets for a while, then you would know one called Alpha Bay was the best of the best. The Amazon of drugs and fraud would be its best description. However, it went down mysteriously one day and everyone assumed the owners just scammed everyone for their Bitcoin. Partially true, but in the background it was actually seize the D. Everyone flocked to a new site called Hansa, which had some sketchy design features, but it was the next best alternative. Turns out the Dutch police took over the site, and with cooperation of multiple governments ran a drug distribution onion site with over $1 million of transactions for around a month. They were gathering information from unsuspecting users, including me, who bought with faulty security practices. Now this is where I started freaking out. Imagine trafficking drugs through the mail and the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, makes a speech live on television that he was going to crack down and explicitly explains how fucked everyone on Hansa was because they have been gathering data for over a month. And in a big dick energy move closes the site and puts up a banner in its place saying everyone who has purchased will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law during his live speech. I was shitting myself for a month as many arrests did occur, but luckily I guess I wasn't important enough and nothing happened to me. Turns out the Dutch police took over the site, and with cooperation of multiple governments ran a drug distribution onion site with over $1 million of transactions for around a month. They were gathering information from unsuspecting users, including me, who bought with faulty security practices. Here in the Netherlands they also used that information to pay a home visit to at least all underage drugs purchasers. I can't remember if they also visited others, but I remember distinctly they at least went to people who were underage and give them a visit to remove the illusion that purchasing that stuff on the dark web is safe and make sure they are properly informed about drugs. I own a fairly rare car that had a rare error code. I looked it up on Google and there was only one other person on the car makers forum that had the same error. And this guy took months and months going back and forth between car shops and the forum thread to try to get the issue fixed. Everyone on the forum was pitching in to try to help him. So I kept going through this long forum thread to try to figure out if he ever fixed it. And suddenly there's no more replies from the guy. Everyone was scratching their heads for a while. We thought he had maybe gotten the issue fixed and didn't bother to update us on it. Then one day, a news article popped up about a really rich guy who died in a Thai jail cell. And then we connected the two stories and they matched up. The same make and model of the car in the news article matched up with his car. And they were both claiming to be in Thailand at the time. So what happened was that same guy who was still talking on the forums got raided by the Thai police around the same time he stopped replying to the forum. Turns out that he was running one of the biggest dark web marketplaces where drugs were being sold and exchanged. It had something like $1 million in revenue per day, and he was hiding out in Thailand while living in luxury. They found him dead in his jail cell a few days later. They claim he died of suicide. I suppose you are talking about cases, founder of Alpha Bay. The dude was stupid enough to use his real email ID, the one he was using for LinkedIn and all legal businesses, taxes etc., to send welcome messages to people who signed up on the website.